Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar.
And this is the Manly Battleships YouTube channel bringing you Last Week in Geek, the video podcast where we go over everything important that happened last week in Geek. For those of you following our con schedule, we will have a table at KatsuCon this coming weekend down in the National Harbor, Maryland, for which we're excited to exhibit things that are going to come up this year, but we're not doing any panels, so keep that in mind. The following week, we'll be at RetrieverCon at UMBC over west of Baltimore, so also in Maryland. You can actually catch some panels there. We got some more events coming up in March, but we'll get to those later. The only other announcement you need to know is that if you've been following our YouTube channel in general, you'll notice that Saturday has been a little spotty lately, and that's on purpose now. So Saturday from this point forward is going to be a little bit of a freelance day. We're going to be balancing it between some video projects, which we're still very excited to show you, but we're also going to be using that time to work on our panel stuff, because the live content is what we actually care about to bring to you on a regular basis on the con circuit. So keep that in mind. Saturday isn't going to be that regular anymore, but there will still be some content, and when we bring it to you, it will be on Saturdays. Jumping now into new media.
There seems to be a new concept swirling around Hollywood, and that's putting Elvis in a bunch of random situations. This time, it's putting Elvis inside of old Kung Fu movies. They call it Tiger Man. And
is it going to star Bruce Campbell?
That is one big bitch cockroach.
No, it doesn't star Bruce Campbell, sadly, but it does star former WWE superstar Paul London as Elvis. There's a proof of concept. You can actually go watch like 5 minutes of this thing to see if you like it. And I think old weebs might actually have a little bit of the nostalgic feel when you go watch it, because it's very campy, old Kung Fu movie style. To the point where, like, some of the stunts, even though they're made by, like, a really good stuntman...
That would explain the Laser
old
Raptors.
School. What Laser Raptors?
It's a Kung Fury reference. Get this right, Rockstar.
So if this is your thing, go watch the trailer.
We got the final trailer for Disney's live-action adaptation of Mulan, and I am equally unenthused about this one as I was with the last one.
Just a continuation of sucking all the fun out of Mulan.
You know, if I wanted to watch The Great Wall, Disney, I would have just hopped on that Matt Damon, Willem Dafoe train and watched The Great Wall. I mean, in fairness, they cut out the white guys this time, but still, that doesn't impress me when I've already watched every other Chinese movie under the sun.
Clearly the trailer is Disney pandering to China. If I wanted serious Mulan, I would have gone and read the legends, and I have.
Or seen the Chinese movie they made like 3 years ago.
Exactly. There are serious movies that exist of Mulan out there. I knew from a young, well, not from a young age, but I knew that there's other legends, real awesome, cool legends of Mulan, and it wasn't based off of the Disney one. Like,
hey, listen, if it doesn't have the Disney logo on it, it's not good enough. Walt Disney must control everything. Speaking of Disney's march towards unanimity in entertainment, we've got some more Disney Plus announcements for series updates, including The Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out in August, the second season of The Mandalorian complete with extra chicken nuggies and chalky moo moo milk.
That debuts in October.
And finally, WandaVision coming out in December of this year.
Which is pretty surprising. We weren't expecting that till 2021, but apparently...
It's the one thing that can move up the schedule.
Disney makes the list again, this time with Hamilton. They're actually the ones behind the Hamilton filmed version, and it's going to go into theaters. You can expect to watch that October 15th, 2021.
You finally don't have to pay an aristocratic sum to see the movie about every peasant's political friend. The huge irony of the pricing system for the show's content has always kind of stuck in my throat, if you will. I'm getting sick and tired of Hollywood's obsession with babies everywhere. Baby this, baby that. For God's sakes, a peanut company had to do a baby version. But we're getting another one because they're bringing out a new movie. It's called The Rise of Gru, and now we have Baby Gru.
I feel like somebody's biological clock must be running out in Hollywood.
Baby fever is arising.
Just everywhere. Babies everywhere. And God knows, maybe he'll have the success of his predecessors, but time will only tell. I don't think anything can be as big as Baby Yoda.
Chucky Moo Oh, no, I'm sorry. Chalky Moo Moo Juice. That's what it is.
Chalky Moo Moo Juice.
Chalky Moo Moo Juice!
And the last thing we have for new media, if you ever wanted to combine Transformers and My Little Pony, or IDW Publishing has it for you as they're doing a comic book series, mashing the two series up. Transformers, Ponies in Disguise. No, that's not the name of it, just that's what I thought of.
Pegasus moved to fight the evil forces of the Chrysalis. I don't know.
Actually, that's really funny because it's Queen Chrysalis that causes the rift between the universes. It's like, oh yes, the good ponies must now fight the forces of evil and machinery.
The two worst Rule 34s will now come together, and I do mean that literally.
I'm also not that great.
Well, not even a chuckle out of you for that. Wow.
No.
I'm firing blanks here tonight. Just like the
tonight?
Transformer.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week. This is when we tell you about the meme of the week.
This week's Meme of the Week selection is a very straightforward but slightly political one. It involves Bernie Sanders and his request for financial support at all. It's one of my new favorite memes because it's just so clear-cut, straightforward, and so exploitable, Bernie. You should know better, as you used to surf the internet about 4 years ago.
How old is he?
Old. So without further ado, we now roll into the real news. If you're in the nerd community or even the internet long enough, certain things stick out as this is a regular occurrence. This is something that will be with us always. Unfortunately, Dragon Ball Z Abridged has officially come to an end per an announcement from Team 4-Star. Team 4-Star announced it just a couple days ago that they were officially killing it. It's officially over with. Now, they had been playing along with some content for a little while in the form of original animations called, like, I forget what they called it, but like the...
DBZ Shorts?
DBZ Shorts. But the full spectrum, like taking the animation, making an actual fan parody out of it with the dubs and everything, that's done. Season 4, as it was previously teased at the end of Season 3, is not going to happen. A couple different issues were cited that just kind of all worked together to make them call this decision, including copyright issues, which inevitable when you're working with fan parodies. They were worried that that was going to eventually detract from their main money market, because although their YouTube channel has a lot of different diverse content, and they thought about taking Dragon Ball Z Abridged to another platform, they could never really find a platform that they wouldn't still have those issues, and that wouldn't detract from bringing the audience to the stuff that actually would make them money.
They also cited issues such as burnout. They were just kind of getting burnt out and doing all these episodes, and started kind of to feel to them that instead of celebrating a show they love, they were just mostly tearing it down. They also said they had felt like they had finished and done what they had set out to accomplish, especially with the ending of the Cell Saga, which they felt that it had a nice conclusion there. So they didn't feel like they wanted to go any farther with the series.
And honestly, despite that tease for the next season at the end there, where it's like, okay, I could certainly see them going on with this, even at the time, like me personally, I was baffled that the way they ended it, they didn't call it there in the first place. And I guess a couple other people kind of felt the same way, including, in the end, themselves. One of the things that they did mention is that for people who are contributing to their Patreon, while the Patreon, they've tried to explain in the past is not really for Dragon Ball Z, it's for their other projects. If you decide to stop contributing because of the news about Dragon Ball Z Abridged, they completely understand, but do it sooner rather than later. Now, my personal disappointment is I never really put much stock in the idea of the Boo Saga going anywhere. I was much more enthusiastic as the series went on about the movies. Like, if you talk about, like, the Christmas tree, the movie episode.
I thought you said you were watching the fire! I was. It was beautiful.
Or even like Lord Slug. I'm glad that they're not putting themselves in a position where they're just going to crank out shit where, like they said, like they're going to feel like The Simpsons, where they're just making things to make it and not making things because they enjoy it. But I'm also a little disappointed that they're not continuing to explore the content in other ways. And I'm not going to say they're doing their fans a disservice, but I think that there was some other stuff that they could work with. Maybe just not the Boo Saga, which I agree would have been a daunting task. I think it's like a third of the original Dragon Ball Z series.
Well, I mean, and they even stated that they understand that there is content they could play with. They were just tired. And because of that, they just didn't want to just pump out any old thing just because to have content going. Because again, they would felt like Family Guy or The Simpsons or any really long running series. So
actually, funny story. I need to check to see what the status is of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series now, because in fairness, I haven't been keeping up with it, but I really enjoyed Little Karibo's content, and since he's now like officially part of the team, I'm curious where this will lead them. They already completed, I think, Hellsing Abridged, the OVA one. So I don't know where I'm disappointed in the sense that as someone who has been a big fan of fan parodies for a long time, like since I got into the fandom full time, and we've even played with it a little bit ourselves. I really like the formatting and the creativity that goes into that, and I don't like it when things come to a close that I like. So I'll just put it that way. But, Team 4-Star, just like we've had to change over the years as a team, because we moved from the amateur side to the semi-professional to the professional bracket, and as we continue to progress, we have to change the way we'd make content, because certain things create tension with real companies, and, you don't want that. Certainly, I wish there was a way that people could work out fair use issues a lot more straightforwardly than what we currently do, but that's not the current reality, and so when it comes down to how you make your living, you gotta do what you gotta do. So say la vie, Team 4-Star's Dragon Ball Z Abridged, you will be missed, and I really, really, really hope that you still make one of those movies, just for old time's sake. That'd be good. That'd be great. I want the Christmas tree episode again. I'm gonna go watch it right after this. Team 4-Star isn't the only one shit-canning content this past week. Funimation, funny coincidence, is also doing it. Come to episode 3 of a new series called Interspecies Reviewers, Funimation has decided that this content is not right for them. Now, this actually happened a while ago. This was not this past week, this was before that. But the reason it's come up now is because another platform that was carrying this content, Amazon Prime, has now also canceled distribution of the series, leaving North American viewers, specifically in the US, without a legal way to watch this. If you haven't heard of the show up to this point, the pitch that I imagine they gave Funimation when this started was, so there's these guys. Yes. And they're in a fantasy world. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of brothels in this fantasy world. Go on. And all the brothels specialize in a fantasy species. Mm-hmm. And these guys go around and fuck them all as a sample to make a big review book. Really? Yes, it's the My Anime list of brothels. Strangely compelling.
It's weird that you mentioned that you think that's the pitch, because if I believe it correctly, Funimation took the show off of, all of their stuff because it falls outside of their standards and because of the sexual content inside of it.
How dare there be so many nipples exposed in this show about fucking at brothels? The company that picked up the Girls Bravo license, that has a show called Bikini Warriors, and licensed Goblin Slayer, thinks that they can't censor this show. And I actually watched the episodes after this, and I'm going to be honest with you, I got a little bit of the Legend of Neil vibes in that second episode.
Tell me I'm pretty.
You're pretty.
I don't think that Funimation didn't know what the content was about. I'm starting to wonder if they just didn't realize how much censoring they'd have to do.
There is some good news. In Australia and New Zealand, through Anime Labs, you can still access this particular show. They have not taken it down.
If you happen to be in Australia. Because, of course, if you're in America, there's no way to access it.
Now time for our sponsor, NordVPN. Hashtag not spawn.
NordVPN, please make me a corporate bitch. Oh, fill me with your screen data, NordVPN! See, now we're just like interspecies reviewers, Rockstar.
Just throw me over the edge. Boil me alive. Kill me. Blizzard. Feel like we're getting very tired of saying this name, but Blizzard is continuing their telenovela of melodrama. And the controversy this week? Warcraft 3 Reforged.
There's a lot to unpack here. Started us off, Rockstar.
Let's just say a lot of this problems comes basically from the promises that they said when they were remaking and doing the HD upgrade to this. Cinematic cinematic cutscenes that we even got to see a sneak peek of, which were not included in the game. The fact that the HD upgrade, some of the old maps and stuff look better than the new ones. Don't even start mentioning that it's a buggy mess. And they've taken out features that were in the old one, such as custom maps and custom campaigns and all sorts of other
clan
fun
functionality,
things. And clan
apparently.
functionality, yeah.
Now, keep in mind, my experience with Warcraft is pretty limited, and even I think this is a giant pile of shit. Like, I'm a StarCraft fan, and I don't recall this many problems with the HD upgrade of StarCraft.
Well, and it seems like a lot of users on Metacritic agree with you, because it's gotten a whopping 1.9 out of 10 on Metacritic. I don't know what you have to do to get so low a score.
Piss off everybody.
And by continuing to piss everybody off, they've also done something else. This time to the terms of service.
Oh no, the EULA revisions have led to unintended consequences.
If you decide to mod your Warcraft 3 Reforged, Blizzard now owns it.
According to Blizzard's new EULA, custom content of any kind still is retained as an intellectual property of the company. Now, again, my personal experience isn't really with Warcraft 3, it's with StarCraft, but having been a very well-seasoned online use map setting player on StarCraft, I can tell you that Blizzard is not necessarily the fortunate new owner of creative player content as much as they are the inheritor of whatever bullshit someone thought up as a 5-year-old.
And I don't think they're bothering to go through any kind of revisions to make sure that mods that are being uploaded are exactly things that they might want to own.
Pregnancy Defense is a great map, Rockstar. Catch the Child was one of my personal favorites.
We'll have to see how that plays out.
What I'm
in
saying
future.
is that not every map can be labyrinthos. Some of it's pretty dark, guys.
Now, they are doing, I guess, a few good things.
Like refunds, but you have to submit a ticket for that.
Yep. If you submit a ticket, they'll be willing to give you a refund. They are also trying to figure out plans to make Warcraft 3 with Reforged a better game.
You mean the game they promised?
Yes. But see...
The game we deserve, just not the one we were given right now?
See, here's the thing.
A true hero of the game!
I think game companies really need to learn that if you just delay a product and give us a better product by the end of it, people are not going to remember the delay. They're going to remember how good the product was.
What? Rockstar, are you trying to tell me that if we just take the time to make the product we promised, that people might actually enjoy it? What kind of heresy are you spouting on this Christian channel?
People are going to remember the controversies of you putting out an improper product.
Hey, you know who's good at delaying so that things actually look good? Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, the Stanley Parable. They're doing it, and they're indie. Like, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard, because I know that if I say Batman Arkham Knight, everyone will immediately remember the controversy of how it was ported to PC. I don't know why it's so hard for game companies to understand. Just delay the product. We're not going to remember the delay. We're going to remember the quality of the product at launch.
If you are a CSGO player, you might have to start dealing with auto-muting features. They have announced that they're going to use a reporting system to use Wade reporting to determine who gets auto-muted for being a toxic player. And the way it's supposed to work is players who routinely play but don't file a lot of reports are weighed more heavily than, say, spammy accounts, which have only been created a couple days, or accounts that report all the time because they're salty.
We're not really sure how many reports make it so that Valve will censor somebody, because it's essentially a form of censoring. Like, they're going to mute you to everybody. Now, that doesn't mean a player can't unmute you if they individually want to have a conversation with you, but it is going to have to be the choice of other people to unmute you versus Valve basically muting you to the world. So they say this is to handle toxic gamers. I don't know. They're trying to figure out how to make it so that people can't game the system.
Next thing you know, there will be entire clans dedicated to reporting people.
Well, I don't know, because remember, spammy accounts that will report constantly are going to be weighed less heavily than those who don't report as often.
It's going to be a strategic war where they're like, we're going to assassinate this guy. He's too good. We need 50 people to report him for being salty.
Oh, I know. There's always a way to game the system, and I think, I don't know. I don't know how Valve is going to do it, because...
Why are multiplayer gamers so salty?
Because they are. I've played the crew online. Those guys are salty as... You might have heard of this recent MMO called Temtem.
Or not.
But if you're into Pokemon, I've heard that that's what that's like.
If you want unbranded Pokemon, here's Temtem.
Here's Temtem. Except you might want to be a little careful.
Because you might just get banned permanently and have no means of appeal. That's the new controversy at Temtem.
You see, over last weekend, 900 players got banned within 48 hours. And the developer, Crema Games, was very quick in stating that they weren't allowing anyone to appeal because they felt that they were 100% correct in banning all 900 accounts for cheating and exploiting bugs.
The fact that they only had 800 players to begin with was not addressed.
They have since backtracked on that statement a little. They are allowing for some appeals, and they will be doing further research to confirm what they feel. They still believe that all these players were in fact cheating. Crema Games wants to make people feel comfortable knowing that you won't get banned for just finding a bug, but if you then exploit that bug, you will be banned.
Because Lord forbid we utilize the game the way they programmed it, albeit erroneously.
It seems like a lot of players to just ban over 48 hours.
For bug exploitation.
Can
you imagine if they did that in Test Drive Unlimited too, with like the casino hack? You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but like there's this game called Test Drive Unlimited 2, and you can just like go into the casino and make a crap ton of money, and the game is an online feature game, so it's just like, oh, okay. But since it's just about driving around having fun with yourself, no one cares!
Well, they care a lot in Temtem.
We want to assure you that as far as the US is concerned, we're only shitposting when we talk about the fear of the coronavirus. There really isn't that much that we have to worry about. However, over in Japan, there are some definitive real-world consequences to this virus outbreak. What that means for the Japan market specifically is that the Animal Crossing version of the Switch, as well as the Ring Fit controller, are going to be in short supply and or delayed due to the supply chain problems caused by the coronavirus. Worldwide, there's also an impact. It's going to delay the Switch port of The Outer Worlds, which I don't care about because I still can't buy it on Steam for another year.
The only thing that has come out about specifically the Outer Worlds port is you may have noticed that if you have pre-ordered it, you only get a download code. Because of these issues, they are actually starting to mail out physical cartridges for the game. Netflix has finally released a setting we've all been dying for, the feature everyone has begged for.
Oh, an English dub of Psyche K?
No, it's to turn off the autoplay feature of those stupid trailers on the home page. I'm so happy. It is only slightly annoying because you do have to turn it off for all the different profiles, so everyone specifically who's on your Netflix has to do it for themselves.
Because, you know, one or two of them might want to autoplay the trailers. Maybe.
However, it is fairly simple to do. You just go to Netflix, settings, manage profiles, and then under your profile, you should be able to see the settings for autoplay. Just turn it off and you'll never have to hear those trailers again.
For our final story, we're talking about cybersquatting. If you're not familiar, it's the practice of buying or in some cases, hacking into a domain name, frequently associated with a famous name, like a person or a trademark, service mark, a brand, or whatever, and then blackmailing people into paying to get it back. Now, this was a big controversy for a while because a lot of people's famous names that were, for example, politicians, like there was an issue with the Ron Paul campaign because there was a private website that they then had to get back, things like that. In this particular case, PatrickDeWitt.com. Patrick DeWitt is a famous author in Canada, and he has put up a new website on PatrickDeWitt.com that explains, I am not Patrick DeWitt, but Patrick DeWitt's publisher should really look at my book.
This man wants to remain anonymous. He has not allowed anyone to release his name, but has released an excerpt of his book. The name of his unpublished novel is In God's Silence, Them Devils Say. He's essentially blackmailing Patrick DeWitt's publishers into reading this excerpt and has plastered all over this website that he is not Patrick DeWitt.
However, the plan has backfired. Apparently nobody cares. There's been no effort on behalf of the author or the publisher to reclaim the website. It's just there.
In fact, he's expressed his frustration in the article that we've linked to, stating that if you want to do something that nobody gives a crap about, become an author. It's really funny because this website has gone through several changes under his control, his management, ranging from pretty threatening to what it's now, like, not as threatening, basically just has the excerpt and this is not Patrick DeWitt.
It reminds me of that guy who was like, donate $500 total onto my PayPal or I'll eat this bunny.
My favorite one, it's no longer on the website, but he was like, listen, I'm not blackmailing you guys. I just want you to read my novel! And then he goes, oh wait, I just read the definition of blackmail, and that's technically the definition of blackmail. You know, this was one of those articles I read for this show, and I was halfway through, what the fuck am I reading?
You know what, Maggie, I just want attention!
What's the moral of the story?
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Crime does not pay.
Well, I think with that...
We're officially done here, ladies and gentlemen. Manly Battleships thanks you for hanging out at Last Week in Geek, the video podcast from Manly Battleships, where you get to hear all about things that happened last week in Geek. Feel free, if you are new to the channel, to hit subscribe. And if you haven't hit the bell yet, hit the bell. It's there. It's easy. It's so easy, guys. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Leave us a comment about your favorite story and stuff that we might want to do in a future episode. And as always, I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar.
You have a wonderful night.
See you next week!